And so today, alongside all the news that we did get in regards to the new Cyberpunk themes banner, we also do have the next set of resurrectable characters, and in this case, it is not Koga, it is not Ginrei, and it is not Byakuya. They are once more being delayed. I don't know why. For those that don't know, Koga and Ginrei, mainly Koga, that's the one character we care about, they have been next in line to get resurrected for like the last 5 months. But the reason why they haven't been done yet is that we just keep getting other things instead, right? And when I say they're next in line, it's that they're in chronological order. When it comes to premium characters, they are the oldest premium banner to now not get resurrected, right? So they've always been next, but then recently we were focusing only on Chronicle Quest bonus characters, so we skipped past them. Then we were getting 1000-Year Blood War, then we were getting seasonals. And early this month, we did get a 1000-Year Blood War resurrection. So we knew we were going to get a second resurrection batch this month, right? And surely it meant we were finally going to get Koga's resurrection. But no, instead it's Byakuya, KAIEN, and also Rangiku, these Spirit Society characters, which were, to be fair, skipped over earlier last year in October. The Halloween banner of 2 weeks prior to them got resurrected. They didn't. And I assumed it was because they were going to save it for this year in October. But apparently not. They're getting resurrected now, so let's talk about them. Alright then, so first up, let's have a look at Byakuya, right? Now, Byakuya, for those that aren't aware, was like the start of the power creep meta. And by that, you know, he had really good strong attacks, the best kit in the entire game, a beam, distant AoE SA2, and full screen strong attack 3. With Havoc, a 20% berserker, and frenzy +1, he was easily one of the best characters in the entire game. And every character that came after was always like just a different version of this particular Byakuya, right? This also at the same time, we briefly spoke about it yesterday in regards to us potentially getting a new power sword killer, which we didn't unfortunately yet. But this was around the time when we started to get a bunch of power sword killers that it was kind of becoming annoying. He was the start of it. Now, from what I've heard, the resurrections aren't that good, so I'm not sure what to expect here. But in his case, he does have Berserker, Bruiser, Debilitator, Devastation, Frenzy, Havoc, Poison, and also Sprinter +1. In this case, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skills. So I think he's going to pick up 1 innate skill. It'd be nice if these characters could also get 2, but I think they're only going to get 1. In this case, probably damage to freeze enemies, basically. If anything, that's where his soul trait might be. I wouldn't be surprised if his soul trait is damage to frozen enemies, and then he picks up 1 new innate skill that might just be increased chance would be kind of cool for this character, truth be told. Like, if he was only going to pick up 1 new skill and 1 soul trait, I would say, yeah, a 30% berserker increase, so up by 10%, because that's usually what they do. I'd love to see it go higher, but a 10% increase on his berserker, an increased chance to inflict status elements, and then 20% more damage to frozen enemies. If we're just playing it very, very safe here, that would be a decent resurrection. I, of course, would obviously want more, but let's see what we are going to get here. So first up, the innate skill is 20% more damage at full stamina, and then he also did get the more damage to frozen enemies for his soul trait. So quite a very, I don't want to say lackluster, but it's basically what I was expecting, right, to a less degree. I'm not surprised his soul trait was damage to frozen enemies. And power also right now, remember, is getting a really good soul trait with Aaroniero, right? 12% recharge, 20% SAD. So it's not like power's not getting a good soul trait this week, right? You just have to pull the new Aaroniero. And we are starting to see these soul traits come out more now where we're getting damage to a certain status element. Is it the greatest set of soul traits? I wouldn't say so, but I guess it's nice just to have variety. I have plenty of recharge links already with strong attack damage, so like I'm not that fussed about links right now. But you know, if this ever becomes useful, I'll be happy to have it. But yeah, other than that, his berserker did go up by 10%. He got 20% more damage at full stamina, and then he also does more damage to frozen enemies. So just quite a small damage increase for the most part. And I guess it'll be noticeable with this character, but nothing super crazy. But again, he's a character that already has everything to begin with. All he can really ask for is more damage output. But again, a utility effect like an increased chance to inflict status elements would have been good, especially knowing that he was very likely to pick up damage to frozen enemies. Next up, we have KAIEN. So it's a good month for KAIEN fans, right? Earlier this month, we did get a new Aaroniero with KAIEN's powers and abilities, so for the most part, it is also a KAIEN. But you know, I think this entire batch is going to get the exact same upgrade, so if anything, it might be a very boring resurrection. But we'll see how it does play out. So basically, again, once more, very similar to Byakuya. He has every skill he basically wants. 8 skills in particular. He has a 20% berserker. What we're probably going to see him is get an extra 10% on his berserker value, so 30%, and then probably give him 20% more damage at full stamina, why not, and then give him more damage to paralyzed enemies through his soul trait. If they do that for all 3 characters, it's very boring, but at least it's a second resurrection batch, right? So if you have the character, you are getting more orbs. Let's actually see though. So his innate skill this time is damage to paralyzed enemies and also his soul trait. So that's kind of funny. All these characters, we're about to see Rangiku in a minute. She's probably going to have damage to weaken. That's basically what they're doing for this resurrection batch. In this case, KAIEN, did actually, at the very least, to be fair, see a 20% increase on his Berserker value. Again, I would love for them to increase their Berserker value to like 100%. It doesn't make the character like that crazy. But he did get a 20% Berserker, and then he also got 40% more damage to enemies that are inflicted with paralysis. Again, doesn't really change how much the character plays, to be fair. But I guess his SA2, which is a pushback attack, is like the shockwave attack, will now do a lot of damage if you do inflict an enemy with status ailments, in this case paralysis, where you are then doing 40% more damage. Again, as for a soul trait, you never know when this might come in handy. I'm not going to hate on it. Technique does need, to be fair, good soul traits, so maybe now would have been a good chance to give us a really good technique soul trait. The technique attribute doesn't have access to like a good soul trait with like 12% recharge and 20% more strong attack damage at full stamina. I doubt young BYAKUYA would get a good soul trait. So we're really hoping on like Stark's Resurrection, maybe even Zamari's, and maybe eventually Rukia, who is a 40% recharge. If they could pick up good soul traits, that would be really good. Unfortunately, KAIEN didn't really get that, which more often not wouldn't really be a bad thing, but again, technique isn't a bad situation. They do need better links, and this could have been a good opportunity to give us that. Last but not least, though, we have Rangiku. In her case, she is a 12% recharge soul traits, and recently, we just got Candace Resurrection, who also wasn't really that good of a soul traits, and again, Koga should still be getting resurrected next in line if we finally get a premium resurrection, and Koga's the character we want to have a good soul trait, given that he's a 40% recharge. So in her case, given that we also had two characters with damage to certain status elements, I'm going to assume she's going to get the exact same thing, 20% more damage to weakened enemies. And then as for her skills, she does have 8 skills here, so she is capped. No new skills that she's going to pick up, but she will be getting a new innate skill. What that could be? Maybe just 20% more damage at full stamina. Why not? I don't know. So let's check out what she is going to get. So in this case, fire duration. Okay. We'll have a look at that. It's going to be good in a minute. She did get a innate skill with Sprinter +1, but that's because, as you can see here, she did at least get an increased chance to inflict status ailment. So kind of funny, the one character that doesn't do more damage to enemies inflicted with a status ailment is the one that got the increased chance. That makes her better though. She got the extra 10% Berserker, but let's quickly check Simulator real quick. Because to be fair, it has been a minute, I believe, since we have gotten a character with a duration soul trait, which is good. It is good, because you definitely can use those. So in this case, Minds, fire duration, and then let's see what we are working with here. In this case, actually, let's just specify recharge, right? So, funny enough, believe it or not, this soul trait does not exist. Recharge for the mind attribute and fire duration does not exist. And I feel like somewhere down the line, I might have needed a soul trait like this. I'm not sure when, truth be told. I'm honestly not sure when, but I'm not going to hate on a soul trait that, quite frankly, just doesn't exist in the game already, right? There are times where I might need a recharge ability with also a status ailment duration. There have been times where I've needed it. Maybe not so much nowadays, but you never know, right? If we have a look at the actual mind attribute itself, right, what character could we give fire duration that would actually be good? I'm really not sure. It's definitely going to be a very niche link, but then again, the link doesn't exist. So like if you wanted to get recharge and also be immune to burn, you just couldn't do that before. Now you technically can. And I think one example where this might be good is, let's say, for example, you're using someone like Luna Rukia in the ranged Aranka guild quest where she isn't immune to the burn pools. Because she's your team booster, you might want to give her recharge, and now you can do that while also giving her the fire duration. Now, of course, one way around this without even needing the soul trait is to use someone like 7th Anniversary Ichigo, but let's say, for example, you're maining with Rangiku, and then you're also using 1000 Year Blood War Aizen to buff his damage output, but then you also want a team booster that can do damage. Well, on your screen is a team that I actually used, and it was very awkward using Rukia because, again, she wasn't immune to status ailments. Now with this soul trait, I can make it so she can become my team booster, my main team booster with the max amount of recharge that I want in her, while also now being able to be immune to burn. So I guess that's the Spirit Society banner, Resurrection in a nutshell, right? Not really the most exciting banner. I can kind of forgive this one for being quite tame in comparison to, you know, past ones. I'm happy they finally done it, but again, I was more so looking forward to Koga's Resurrection, so I guess we have to wait another 2 weeks for that, right? Unless they decide to finally resurrect more 1000 Year Blood War, Hunt for Your World, or more seasonal banners, Koga, Ginrei, and also young BYAKUYA. More specifically, Koga should be finally getting their resurrection in 2 weeks' time, and that's the one we're hoping is at least good soul traits. BYAKUYA, KAIEN basically play the exact same, just a tad bit more damage. Nothing super crazy. Links themselves aren't really that great, to be fair. And in Rangiku, I feel like she got a better resurrection. Her utility effect of being able to increase the status ailment chance is actually going to be really good when she does have killer. Might make it actually a bit more fun. And her soul trait, while it is, again, more of a niche soul trait, you might be able to get a use out of it, right? I definitely don't hate those soul traits, especially when a soul trait combination like that just doesn't exist. For the most part, though, this resurrection badge is just more orbs, which is never a bad thing. If you own the characters, that's 200 plus orbs right there. come into your account less than 2 days' time. Either way, though, let me know what you like from these characters' resurrections in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and peace.